Good day, everybody. I'm happy to welcome here Mr. Roger L. Simon. Roger Simon is a fantastic man, and he doesn't know what a great part he played in my life. Because his website that he founded, the Pajamas Media, was my gateway into the my entrance into conservative thought of in the United States. Believe it or not, I wasn't interested in politics until I came across your website that was founded in 2004. And Roger has a fantastic career in Hollywood, which is really seven produced movies, 25, correct me if I'm wrong, screenplays. He was also president of the West Coast branch of Penn and a member of the board of directors of the Writers Guild of America.
Don't
And
blame me for all that.
yeah, I will. I will. Long. We're just starting. Yeah, I worked with Penn as an interpreter too. I'm an interpreter by trade, and I'm a former. I mean, you can say I'm a former screenwriter, but it's like never leaves you. Sometimes you look at life as a story that's being written before your eyes, and you wish to add a couple of lines of your own to that. And I sold a screenplay. I call it a spy rock and roll novel, a movie. It's about a Russian defector, a true life story, a Russian American rock and roll singer who was talked into going to Russia, and he had a career there comparable to Elvis's half a billion listeners. But nobody knows him here. Everybody still, a lot of people still remember him in Russia and the GDR and Germany. He lived in GDR where he died soon. Some say that he was murdered. His name is Dean Reed. But it doesn't matter. At this time, I'm running my blog, a video blog here, and we talk about conservative things and how to make America great again. And we are here on the occasion of Roger L. Simon having a book out. The book is called American Refugees. Let me show you the cover. And the book is sold wherever the books are sold on Amazon. And if you Google American Refugees, the book, you come to where you can buy this. Mr. Simon, how are you today, and how this book came to be?
Well, I'm okay today. I've been doing a lot of traveling for the Epoch Times to places that are too cold for me, including Iowa, was a negative 17.
Wow.
It's an experience to go outside in that, but I'm basically okay. And I came to write the book because I lived the experience. And I'm one of those people who usually writes out of lived experience. Write what you know is what they say. And I moved from Hollywood, California, from the belly of the woke beast in Hollywood to Nashville, Tennessee area. And the experience of moving was a powerful one in my life because I had lived basically 50 years in Los Angeles, although I spent time in Europe and I travel around a lot for my work, but I was ensconced in Los Angeles for years and part of the film community, which can affect your brain in the worst way imaginable. It's not good for you. And eventually, my wife and daughter and I decided to move, and they selected the national area more than I did, but I was happy to do it. And we've been here now for 5.5 years. And I, out of my experience of what the difference is living in red state America compared to blue, the bluest of blue state America in Los Angeles, California, is really what this book is about. And the strange differences and strange similarities, I might add, that you run into in this experience. And the book, in a way, might function for people. A lot of people think about making this move. When I was writing the book, I was calling friends and people I knew back in New York and LA who were fed up with living in those states. And you got to see who would leave and who would. And it had to do with the psychology of the person, not to blame them, but there are some people who become refugees who are willing to take that kind of big stab. And then there are people will never move, and it's not a negative thing. It's just who they are. I mean, We weren't the first refugees. I mean, this country is built by refugees. You're one.
Yeah.
And the refugees that came to America in the 20s in droves and went legally through Ellis Island, like my grandparents and lots of people built this country where they came from, whether they came from Ukraine or they came from Italy.
No, exactly. Legal is the key word, and another thing is that we all know that the social safety net that was built, may not like it. It's imperfect, but people come for it, and it's a last lifetime. The government promises to have it for a lifetime, but unfortunately, nothing, almost nothing, lasts a lifetime, and there are so many reasons. I'm here in Brooklyn, New York, and so many people have moved already from New York to places like Florida, to places like Texas, states like Texas, and to Tennessee as well, of course, to red states. And some what how would you grade the proportion, say, emotional versus financial? Uh,
Well, this is what
as a reason.
really a large part of the book is about, because early on there was a lot of talk in places like Tennessee and Texas too. Is don't There was even signs saying don't bring your California values with you.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it turned out that the people coming from New York and California and Chicago area too uh, were in some ways more constitutionalist than the people who were here,
Yeah.
because to make the effort to move, financial is there. Obviously, no one wants to pay taxes. Most of these places either had no taxes or minimal taxes, state taxes. But that's part of the story, and the big part of the story was that to move 2,000 miles or whatever it is with your family, lose friends, lose work, whatever it is, it takes a lot, a certain type of personality and a certain courage and a certain need, and that need was largely to find the America that we all dreamed of and wanted, and has have somewhere in our memory, if you know what I mean. But when we arrived in these places, we discovered they had been tainted too. And this is natural, since we live in a world where everything is almost simultaneous. And then there was a culture clash right here, and miles from where I'm talking to you now. One of the big clashes was in a place called Franklin, Tennessee. Franklin, is kind of a dreamland of Republicans, one would think, because if you go to Franklin, I don't know if you've ever been there, but the downtown area is like Norman Rockwell meets sushi bars. I mean, it's just the dream of America, but modernized, of course, because it's 2024, and you find this. On the other hand, uh, all these people, it grew incredibly. This is Williamson County. Some say the richest Republican county in the country. And all these people came from California and New York to live there. And then they just go, wait a minute, this place is run by a chamber of commerce. The schools are teaching gay rights, and they're having drag queen story hours in the library and all these horrible things. They thought they were escaping. So there became a kind of a battle that's still ongoing. And one of the interesting things about that battle is that people have to come to terms with each other a little bit, and so that's a positive. Excuse me here, a positive outgrowth, I think, of this. It's an ongoing thing, and if I ever write a sequel to the book, I'll report on what happens next. But I don't know if I will. I might go back to writing fiction. Who knows?
But it's interesting that, in big cities, people kind of lose the ability to talk over those things that you mentioned, the LGBTQ, and there's no dialogue. Everybody's kind of hating each other uh, deep inside, and not discussing these grievances, so to speak, the enmity towards each other. While in places like Tennessee, and correct me if I'm wrong, people still have an ability to talk more or less, you know.
No, you're not wrong, but it's all a matter of degree always. But yeah, one thing we didn't realize when we moved here, we didn't realize how blue the city of Nashville itself was. I mean, all these in these red states, the left is trying to infiltrate them desperately. They want nothing more than turn the red states blue, and they do it from the cities outward. So, like Nashville. Where I'm sitting, I'm in the southern suburbs of Nashville right now.
Mhm.
This area is purple. If you go a little bit south of me, it becomes red. If you go a little north of me into the center of the city, it becomes blue. I mean, all these things can be graphed. Now, the blue of, we didn't realize when we moved here how blue the center of the city was. We thought it would be purple just
Well,
because it was in a red state. That was naive. But on the other hand, what's blue in the South or in these red states is not as blue. It's not like Oakland. It's not like Oakland, California, or something like that, where it's wacko beyond whatever you could even think of, or Brooklyn. I mean, I grew up in New York, so I certainly
mhm.
know something about Brooklyn. And I've read that. Great story by Thomas Wolfe that ends, "Only the dead know Brooklyn,"
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
even then you wouldn't know it all. I remember that line so well.
One of the best shorter stories of American literature. I
Mhm.
live in Shipshead Bay, and it's the most Republican part, most conservative part of Brooklyn. And full disclosure, we have a Republican member in the Vernikov, the member of City Council, and I myself gave a try to become to go for a House of Representatives in 2022.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, and I faced Hakeem Jeffries, and believe it or not, I lost. Was 30, almost $30,000 raised on the internet versus $5 million war chest and unlimited, basically, wallet of Democratic Party. But I made my own little discoveries on how to approach this, and I did a lot of things 180 from what I was advised to do. So I went to almost all corners of this congressional district, and I talked to people, and I talked to all kinds of people. And people, basically, if you come to them and you say, "I'm your candidate, please vote for me," you give them a hand card and you post your uh, visage on the wall. People say, "Oh, you came to me. I'll vote for you." I mean, people appreciate it so much. They say you're the first Republican who ever came to our area. You're the first politician who ever came to our area. We don't know who Hakeem Jeffries is. People
You
are
know,
so divorced from this whole thing.
I really respect that, and also, my wife forbids me to run, and I
I'm
understand
close
why
to that
because
too.
yeah, I would not be a good representative. I know myself. I would probably be good at running. I'm good at giving speeches. I've done that a lot. But when it comes to the day in and the day, there was some talk. I'm on a regular radio show here in Nashville, and they were trying to get me to run for mayor of Nashville. I would have lost anyway, so because there's no
Never
way
know.
then the right could win the mayor of Nashville. And I mean, unless maybe a great country star like John Rich might have won. But it's I want to sit down and write. That's me. So, but I admit that. But I admire and I support people who will go out and do it. And the other thing I think is really interesting, and I write about this in the book a little bit, and that is the way to talk to these people who have been indoctrinated, so heavily indoctrinated in our culture. I mean, it's horrifying. Is to start at where they are, down low, and ask curiously, what do you think about this? And then you're sort of rebuilding the mind in a quiet way, because most people have common sense. They say, if you start to ask them something down at the base level, and you don't come on like you know it, let them know it. But it's a painstaking process. It's a really painstaking process. And just before I came on your show, I read the most depressing article by a very fine writer who writes for the Epoch Times and the columnist with me, a man named Jeffrey Tucker. I don't know if you run into his work; it's very good. Anyway, he was writing about those nutcases that just threw mud or whatever it was at the Mona Lisa yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
the new British custom.
yeah, and he sees that as a sign of the hopelessness of where we are. And I think, it's hard to argue with that
Yeah,
because, the fact that we have people willing to do that and to think that they're doing it for a cause, it's hard to wrap your mind around, really, because when I was just talking about you go down and talk to people at where they're at, where are these people at? Where do you
yeah,
begin with them? I mean, it's a very it's a
exactly.
complicated thing. I mean,
Yeah, it's not just the refugees. We are not just the refugees of geographically. We also refugees kind of spiritually, because we're not allowed to exist in space. I mean, look at us. We are brought up on values like Christian art, Jewish thought, Jewish literature, Christian literature, Muslim things that we loved and learned to love. I'm from Uzbekistan. You traveled a lot in your life, and of course, it's just spiritually we are made the refugees. We cannot rely on things that we are not. They say they want to. Reeducation has become a word that is. Bandied about in the liberal media much more than in the conservative media. Uh, we conservatives do not tell people to go and re-educate yourself, learn things, read books, but not to change your personality in a way using the word that is such a loaded word from Russian.
well, it's straight out of the
China.
Chinese Cultural Revolution.
Yeah,
But the truth is that we are in need of re-education. That's the sad. I mean, what you're saying is different form. It's an open-minded re-education. Also, I find myself right now, and the last part of my book really deals with this in the chapter called Steeples, is that uh, I am going that the way back now is through religion. I think the Judeo-Christian tradition, whichever aspect of it you need. You know what I'm saying? Whichever. I mean, I'm Jewish, and especially with what's been going on in the world lately, I feel more profoundly connected to that. But you have to. I don't think there's another way as powerful. And one of the things that interesting about this area of Tennessee is that the amount of people I run into who are in spontaneous Bible study classes is stunning. They're all up at 6 in the morning, really, joining each other and reading portions of the Bible, and it's impressive. I mean, the me of 25 years ago would have gone. "Ah." The me of today goes, wait a minute. The wisdom of the ages is the wisdom of the ages for a reason.
yeah. I have my videos here. I run it live in the morning and in the evening. Sometimes I do up to 3 or 4 because I work freelance and on call as an interpreter, and yeah, I can actually do these things from anywhere I'm at at the moment. But on Fridays in the morning, I have our neighborhood synagogue's rabbi, a young rabbi at 8 o'clock. He's coming on for 20, 30 minutes, and we talk about things. I ask him a question he doesn't know about. And it's mostly in Russian. What I do is about 20% of what my videos are in English. But still, I enjoy. I mean, it's amazing the power of it, and it's important to keep people kind of involved, engaged, and not too upset, because the main thing every day for a person is to get out of bed first, and if there is no desire to get out of bed, everything else is out the
So
window.
true. So true. I mean, look, it's true for me. Some mornings I don't want to get out of bed. I
Yeah,
mean,
like
but
anybody else.
what gets me out of bed is my writing. I realize I write for a different reason than I did when I was a kid. I started writing at 16. I've been written forever. And when I was young, I wanted to be a star. I wanted to be a literary star. I wanted to be a famous screenwriter, famous novelist, blah, blah, blah. I wanted acclaim. I wanted some money. I didn't want that much money. I was more interested in acclaim. Anyway, what what I write for now is for my country and for the world. I write as to make things better. That's all I'm thinking about. It's less about how good I am or what praise I get. I mean, ironically I get more praise now.
Yeah.
However, it's not the motivation, and that's when you're talking about getting out of bed in the morning. That's what does it. I know I've got to, I'm writing like 4 or 5 columns a week for Epic Times. I mean, and I'm thinking about what's the next book, what's the next screenplay. But it's all connected with, years ago I had a girlfriend in France. Before I married my current wife, who was wonderful, and we've been married almost 30 years, so we're going way back.
Okay.
Anyway, the girlfriend in France, who was a movie producer. Anyway, she would always say, Roger, what do you have to give to the people? And I didn't quite get it then. I mean, I sort of got it, but for any writer or anyone doing what we're doing, it's what we have to give to the people. It's our spiritual mission. It is why you know YHVH, the Hashem put us here.
Yeah.
It gave us whatever talent we have. And it is to give to the people, and so I try to focus on that. I mean, of course, I have an ego, like, and lately I've been reading a lot of Kabbalah and getting into the whole issue of where they talk about you put on your character, it's a clothes, and my character is Hollywood screenwriter, yada yada. It's a changing character, but that's not really me. The real you is your soul, and the real you is the soul that has that message to give, and it's a spiritual message. That the whole left right thing is the ground level, but the spiritual level is up here, and that if you keep your eye on that, you can get up in the morning.
Yeah.
If you look at the daily, what's going on, you're going to go, hey, some idiot is throwing mud at the Mona Lisa. What do we have to do? What next?
No, what kills me as a screenwriter, we live in times where stories are so epic. What could be more epic as a number of planes at night coming from all corners of the world into Tehran carrying cash and diamonds, and accompanied by all kinds of protection and security, and somebody's trying to rob them. You know what I'm talking about? Billions of dollars in the air, literally. And where's the movie about it?
Yeah, well, it's very hard to do movies about these things, only because the events are moving so swiftly. You get superseded in 20 minutes, and as you know, making a movie takes time. So you're always dated. You know what? I just saw last night. I'm still a member of the Academy somehow.
Hmm.
But, uh, so I get to see all the movies if I want, if I log into them. So last night I finally logged in to watch The Holdovers. Now
Hmm.
this is a movie set in 1971, and it's very good. I was really impressed with it. But it's a movie about human life and on a very, basic level of loneliness and how to deal with day-to-day existence. It's not a super upper, but it's a very finely made movie. I was impressed. I was surprised, and if you're thinking about what to do, it may be I'm thinking now about writing movies set in the past, just simply because they cannot be superseded in 20 seconds. Trying to guess what's going to happen next. I don't think Nostradamus could do it. I mean, I wrote an article on Epic Times. It's up there right now. I was at uh, at the birthday party of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Hmm.
in that was that was held in Washington, and it was he's a very nice guy. I've talked to him a couple of times. He's a very nice person, and he's also bright. I mean, compared to what the Democrats have become, you go, wow, how did they lose that? I mean, there were problems with the Kennedys, and we all know it. But he was also, but he means well, and he's intelligent. And I was thinking, and everyone was talking. Well, maybe he could run with Trump, but and then everybody's it's impossible. And I'm driving home with Jan Jekielek, who was senior head of the Epic Times, and Jan was saying, well, in 2024, almost anything can happen, and and
Yeah.
I touche. He's right. So that in a way, um, that tells you how difficult it is to write fiction, whether it's in the screen form or novel form. I mean, you still, you're still running into a future that's so fast that you don't know what to do about it. It's,
It's interesting how how the entertainment industry develops nowadays, and I enjoy movies by Safdie brothers. I don't know if you've seen any of them, or Sean Baker. They don't make movies too often, but it's a fantastic job. And there was the Uncut Gems movie by Safdie brothers with Adam Sandler, and he was absolutely unfairly
yeah,
deprived of
yeah,
the supporting actor.
yeah.
But then nobody gives a hoot about the Academy Awards. It's just more of a inside industry celebration, and
They
um,
shouldn't. No, 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 they shouldn't. Now, my only reason of staying a member is I get to watch the movies free, except I have to pay their exorbitant
yeah.
fees. And I can do it at home with no effort. But no, the actual Academy Awards. It's a joke. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's just the kind of very lick spittle is the right word, right? For the common and modern threats, trends, and whatever is on the first page of New York Times or Vanity Fair. That's what's.
Yeah, and I guess that a lot of the members, there are about 8,000 members of the Academy altogether, uh, and different branches, obviously. My guess is that they're not. A lot of them aren't voting because they kept phoning me to vote in the nomination process. I mean, it's weird. I mean, you get a phone call. This is the Academy. You've forgotten to. You haven't voted yet. And in truth, I didn't vote because I didn't want to waste my time. I may vote in the finals now,
Hmm.
but I didn't vote in the nomination process because I just there are too many movies to see. I didn't want to see. And I've got work to do.
Very good example of rapid response. And you talked about the kind of delayed process of movie making, so you cannot be really current with your work. Like say, I hear people ask me who used to work with me in the film, and there are some still around, and they say. I tell them, "Do you miss making writing a film?" And I say, "I make my films twice a day. I'm here and I talk, and the story's out there, and I make of it based on true story. But the popular music is very showed me at least two very interesting examples. One was the boy with the young man, sorry, boy with a long red hair beard by name of Oliver Anthony, Richmond, out of north of Richmond.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very successful. Somewhere in the forest, he sang a song that rang true all over the country. Boom, $2.2 million.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about Oliver Anthony is, I of course I followed that because actually, just 2 days after that song came out,
Mm-hmm.
I was invited to a cool event in John Rich's own nightclub in Nashville. I know John, and he's obviously a staunch conservative country singer, and so he was out there promoting this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the guy, 1 week later, says, "Oh no, I'm not for them. I'm not want it." I mean, got flipped on him. Uh, but meanwhile, he made all that money, right?
Yeah.
But it was a strange story. I thought the song was okay. It didn't knock me out, but you know, my favorite country music was recorded 40 years ago. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
No, it just rang the truth, the truth, and rang true to so many people, and people were hungry to get this type of song. I only care about the creativity. I was interested in biographies and all those reviews and stuff like that, but now I only want to follow the result: a novel, a film, a poem, a song. And last week's success of Ben Shapiro and Tom McDonald, if you follow this rap genre, I don't follow rap genre, but someone sent me a link to a video or it came across someplace out of nowhere. Number one on iTunes, the main outlet, the song that kind of in your face talks about the not about the values, but of unvalues of modern world, of unworthiness of things that people pursue today, and doing it very explicitly and with offensive kind of flair about it. And number one, above Britney Spears, above Justin Timberlake, above Megan Thee Stallion, above all the names. What's the other one? Cardi B. It was
Mhm.
just something that gives you the understanding of what people are after. They really want something that would respond to their thoughts and
Yeah, well, I think that's true. The good thing about the music world is they can get the thing out fast. So
yeah.
I mean, you can have the idea and you can have it out in a week. So that, unlike a film, but interestingly, in film, there's a company here in Franklin, Tennessee, uh, that is beginning to make movies going. One of the problems in film is distribution. I mean, because the studios control distribution. And I know many people have tried to put the films on the internet. It doesn't really work. It works for documentaries, but it doesn't work for fiction films. But these people in Franklin, these brothers who first they've had a hit called the Jesus Revolution about hippie kids in the I guess it was in the 70s in Southern California who found Jesus, and it was pretty good. They got a new one though called I think it's called Accidental Angel, something like that. I saw it coming out next month. That's really good, and these films are being distributed by Lionsgate. So, in other words, they're going out through the Hollywood system, which means that people will actually see them,
Yeah.
as opposed to. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops, because it's coming out of here. It's not coming out of L.A.
Yeah, I mean, the example of The Sounds of Freedom, right? Is the name of the movie that
Yes, that's
very successful.
I saw that very early, and yeah, this one I think is even better as in filmmaking.
Hmm.
I mean, because they were learning to do it.
Yeah. Mr. Simon, thank you so very much for coming. To remind you, our guest today was the editor-in-chief of the Epoch Times and the Oscar-nominated screenwriter for the Enemies, the Love Story, Roger L. Simon, author of the book American Refugees. Here's the book.
Yeah.
Roger, thank you so very much.
People tell me they really enjoy reading it, which is the object. I don't want to write a book people don't like to read.
Yeah, to like is one thing.
No matter what political views you have, if people aren't enjoying reading it, they ain't going to finish it.
That's in the perfect world. In the real world, we got to find our refuge.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
All right. Great talking to you.
Same here.
Bye.